Hello, welcome to my channel, and KTRT review. That's all I seem to do. Yeah, got my latest KTRT, and it's something from Hello Carbot for the first time in ages, and it's something from one of the more recent series, because I've sort of gone off Hello Carbots a little bit because they've moved away from what it was I liked about the series, which was them making large sort of leader class scale carbots, robots that turn into cars, which were actually scale models of realistic vehicles, Hyundais basically. They were scale models of Hyundai cars that were quite well detailed, and I really like that. But as the series have gone on, they've moved away from the licensed products and gone more into the realms of ridiculous fantasy figures, and they've gone mad for combiners. Every new series they have a new combiner, and for season 4 we got a thing called Super Patron or Patron, and basically that was 4 units that combined together to form a massive great robot. But this was in itself was made out of 2 separate units which comprised a smaller robot and a bigger robot, and these were Patroness or Patroness and Dire-X. Now, I was umming and ahhing about getting these. I didn't want to get them because they kind of look ridiculous in their combined mode. But my sort of thing about the combiners in Hello Carbots is they're these things called copolymer combiners, whereby they're basically a load of vehicles that combine together to form a giant robot. But the limbs themselves are vehicles and they don't have robot modes of their own, a la Transformers. Like Devastator. Devastator's made up of, six vehicles, construction vehicles, which form together, which have individual robots of their own, which form together to form a bigger robot. In Korea, they do things slightly differently. And I'm not really a huge fan of copolymer combiners. But I have got a few combiners. I've got Pentastorm, which was like the main combiner from season 1. But he did have the limb bots were individual robots, even though the toy itself, they don't actually transform into individual robots. They just transform into limbs from vehicle mode. And that's only because of the scale of the thing. But you can buy full-sized representations of the individual vehicles, robots in the normal scale. And then I got Road Saber, who was basically the similar sort of thing, the big bus, and then you had the 2 cars, which then turned into, and he had multiple modes as well. He had like a beast mode, and a giant robot mode, and you could combine both in beast and in robot form. So there was quite a lot of playability on it. It's a shame the toy was a complete and utter piece of rubbish with hardly any articulation and the wrong colours. But anyway. Enough about that. So I've sort of gone off Carbots a little bit, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm running out of KTRTs that I want to buy, and then I thought, well, okay, let's have another look at these Hello Carbot things. And the latest series, season 5, there's another ridiculous couple of combiners that have come in, but there's a few other side figures that are coming to the line, which I think actually I might be able to go for those. But looking back for season 4. Yes, Dire-X and Patroness. I've decided to go for Dire-X. So Dire-X is made up of these 2 units. This is Dire. He is a big chunky fire engine, and this is it's either Leif or Leif. The spelling is L-I-E-F. On a name. It's a she-bot. It's a fembot, and these are the 2 units. Now these are individual robots in their own. They both have individual robot modes, but they can combine together to form Dire-X, and they also can combine with Patroness to form Super Patron or Super Patron. But I haven't got Patroness. I've only got these 2 for the moment. But before we get into the toys, let's have a quick look at the box. And as you can see, it's quite large. Not particularly thick, but it's rather large. And then you go on the back, and it's got a picture of the big the main combiner that you can do. That's Super Patron, and then it's got up here. It's got Patroness, Skids or Skid and Patron. They combine together to form Patroness, and then obviously then you've got this one, which is Direx. So let's start with Leif. Now, this is Leif's vehicle mode, and it's an ambulance. It's a van, a large sort of panel van type ambulance, kind of like like a Mercedes Sprinter style van or a Volkswagen Transporter. Nicely painted, usual Korean shiny plastic. It's got light bars, got ambulance on the side. Now, because of the nature of the engineering on this thing, there are obviously, you've got these quite obvious hinge pivots sticking out the side of the doors, and it's also got this black thing on the bottom, which if you look underneath, it's a big black rectangle. Now that's part of the combiner gimmick with with the other bots, and in vehicle mode it's nicely painted. It's kind of like a deluxe sized vehicle. Well, I've got Combiner Wars leader Megatron out for a size comparison, because he's really good with size comparisons against KTRTs. And there's Leif next to Combiner Wars Megatron. She is fairly weighty, considering it's only a deluxe size bot. Obviously you've got this big black thing hanging off the bottom. Now it does limit. It has got very limited ground clearance. As you can probably see there is hardly any ground clearance. It does roll on a flat surface extremely well, but anything other than a flat surface and well, you ain't got a chance. But decent enough vehicle mode. Right, now Dyer. Now he's a very big, huge, massive, chunky fire engine, and not just a normal fire engine. He's one of those massive, great airport fire tender type fire engine. You know that that truck that Sentinel Prime transformed into in Dark of the Moon? Very similar to that, only it's got an extra pair of wheels at the front. So yeah, it's a big airport style fire truck. Massive, great, huge, great 8-wheeler fire engine. Very heavy. It's got this sort of jib on the top, which has got 2 hinge points on it and a basket. So I assume that's like for getting up to high places. It does clip into place on the back, and it has got a rotation, but obviously that it's just got a pegging port on the top. Obviously pinned wheels all round. Very shiny plastic. Lots of, you can probably see there's quite a bit of moulded detail on the side of this thing. Loads of little storage compartments moulded in, grills, and it's got the little Carbot emblem there. But very nice, detailed, big, chunky fire engine. What kids don't love fire engines? Again, let's have a size comparison with in vehicle mode with Combiner Wars Megs. And yeah, it's quite large. So that's the vehicle modes out of the way. Now I will say at this point in the review that Direx, this set has 4 separate modes. So take this as mode number 1. They're vehicle modes. So let's get down to transformation. Let's do Leif first. Now Leif, bit of parts forming on Leif. That comes off. Now you're left with that underneath. This is actually a weapon in combiner mode, and also it forms like a wing pack in her robot mode. So to get the wing pack or the weapon, you fold that up, and then you split this apart, and then you flip out those things there, and there you have well, it's a wing pack for Leif, but it's actually a bow and arrow for the combiner. So we'll just put that off to one side. Now, because of the way this thing transforms with this thing here, it's kind of unusual the way this thing works. But it does have a a separate robot mode, but it's slightly compromised due to the engineering. Now, first of all, got the little foot flaps. Fold them down. You can then bring the legs, then fold out the hips, and then split them, and that's your legs. And you fold these bits up and fold those bits out, and there are the arms. And then you take these bits and then you pull them out to the side, and then finally turn around the head, and there we've got Leif in her basic robot mode. Now you can take this wing pack and plug it into the back, and then you've got her in a sort of flying mode. And now in the show, she can fly around with this wing pack, and she's a decent character because she's quite bouncy and light-hearted. You know, she's got quite a soft, very enthusiastic voice, even though I don't speak Korean, and she's very enthusiastic and energetic, and she only wants to help, and she's got a lot of very girly mannerisms going on. But she's only the second female Carbot character that I've got that's in the shows. The other one is Veluster Sky, who I've got from the season 1. But she's, as you can see, she's nicely painted. Lots of paint apps, red and white mostly, with the green, some yellow and some black. Obviously got the wing pack on the back. Articulation, she has got a head that moves. She's got kind of ball jointed shoulders. Because the ball joint's inside this shoulder bit, it does restrict articulation, but then again, you get a decent amount. You can go up and down. It can only go about up that far, but you can have it going in. Now her elbows, there's no bicep swivels obviously. She's got very short forearms and little tiny little elbows. It's a bit of a compromise to the engineering there. Nothing at the waist. Hips, let's take this backpack off. You've got the hips. Now, because they sort of hit this big black rectangular thing on the back, there's only limited motion you can get, but you can get a bit of a spread. Very short hips, but has got knees that, again, because of the way they hit this backpack, you can't really get much. Well, you can actually fold this leg piece out and then get a joint on her. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to do. You've got to fold them in as well. So yeah, because of the way this thing is engineered, kind of restricted articulation. But that said, she's a decent sized bot. Let's have another. Where's a deluxe bot I can get down? Well, there she is next to Age of Extinction Lockdown. So she's quite the size of a large deluxe, and so she's all right, decent enough. Let's just put that back on there. Now you've had a look at her, we can put her off to one side because we won't need her till later. And then let's get on to Dyer. Now Dyer, he's big, he's chunky. And as you'll see, and this is part of the reason why I'm going off the Carbot line, is the way this guy's engineered, but I'll get into that as the review goes on. So we take this off, you then, this flap on the top, pull it over, get these side panels, fold them back, and there's a peg, there's a tab there and a port there, and you fold them up like so. Split the legs. Now, shoulders, split that and the head comes up. You then unclip these bits, these flaps here, bring out the arms, unfold the arms, fold them in, and fold that down, and then do the same the other side. Get this flap, open it out. Also, you've got to pull them out as well. Fold out the arm, fold that down, bring them forwards, and there we have Dyer in his robot mode. And as you can see, this guy is very big and he's super duper chunky. I mean, look at the girth on those legs. It's got massive shoulders, stubby yet chunky arms, very thick torso. He's quite weighty, but oh yeah, you've got to fold them in as well. Yeah, you'll probably notice on the thumbnail for the combined form, I left the wheels out and didn't put them in, so it's mistransformed for the photograph. I wanted to Photoshop it, but I couldn't be bothered. It would have meant taking the photograph again, and I just couldn't be arsed doing all that, because, you know, you wouldn't believe the amount of hassle it went into making the thumbnail photos on my videos, when I have to, you know, blot out the backgrounds, give them the white background. It's just so time consuming. It took, I mean, I actually started on this video last night, and I thought, you know, just doing the actual review thing and the editing tonight. But taking the photos and doing the thumbnail, because it was free bots on the thumbnail, it just took so long to do. Such a ball ache. Anyway, yeah, Dyer. Very big, very chunky, but as is happening with Carbot's designs of late, they're going for this big, massive, chunky bot, and they're taking away some of the articulation that Carbots used to have. Okay, speaking of articulation, right, got the head, moves from side to side. It's on a swivel. It's on a spring-loaded thing that goes into there. Shoulders. That goes round. You can sort of angle this thing up. Now, he does have bicep swivels. But that's only because of the transformation. Now, he's got 90 degree at the elbow. But because he's out, you know, his arms are so short, it sort of restricts what you can do with them. Nothing at the waist. Okay. Hips. Now, this guy's got very, very strong ratchets on his knees and hips. The reason being because he forms the trousers for the major combiner. And in order to hold all the weight up, you know, he has to have strong joints on his legs. So he can do the splits. Hips go that far forward, and that far back. They hit the backpack slightly. No thigh swivels, and I'm a bit disappointed at that. I mean, they could quite easily put some you know, mushroom pegs in here. Most Carbots do have thigh swivels, but this guy doesn't, and because of the dumbing down of the articulation they put on these big chunky combiners, I'm kind of disappointed on that, and that's again part of the reason why I'm going off the line. 90 degree knee, and the feet are just solid blocks. Now he's, as you can see, he's super chunky. Size comparison, you'll just have to give me a moment so I transform Megs. Right, now where were we? Okay, so there he is next to Combiner Wars Leader Class Megatron, and as you can see, he's quite big. Yeah, so he's quite a big chunky bot. but again, lacking in articulation, more so than normal, which is a disappointment. Obviously the proportions are kind of off on this. I mean, he's got very short thighs, very long shins, short stubby arms, kind of a squat sort of torso, massive shoulders. I mean, yeah, it's all part of his the way they've engineered the transformation for his alt mode, but again, wish they could have done a bit more. But anyway, he does have this weapon, which will plug in his hand, like so. And there we go. And so you put the two together. There we have Leif and Dyer. Now these two do combine. So start off with Leif. Leif does the combining. You take this off and then you remove this little piece here. Now this is where this black thing comes into play. You basically transform her back into her ambulance mode, but the lower half of the ambulance mode, because the top half is you know, this thing. So you put her back together. Well, actually, you sort of go halfway back. And then you fold this black piece out in the middle, like so. So you've got a hole in the middle, and basically you turn Leif into you know, like a tabard. So there's these little pegs on the shoulders, and just slide it over the top, and then it slots in, and then there's some little tabs on the front that plug in to the car, like so. Okay, right. So yeah, and then you put that on there like that, and then you take this thing and you plug it into the top of his head. There's a little, like a key slot on it, so it only goes on one way. And pull the head up a little bit more. And then you take the bow and arrow thing, and there's a little tab thing you have to pull out of the back. That then slots into this hole in the side of this wheel. Right, so, and then there you have Dyer-X in his super mode, so to speak, his combined mode. So Leif becomes, like I said, like a waistcoat or a tabard, or you know, like a vest that he wears. You stick the light bar on top of his head, and then you give him the thing as like a crossbow, and that's his combined mode. This is Dyer-X. This is the full-on toy that you get in the box. Again, I mean, it's not that much bigger than Leader Megs. I mean, you just added a few bits on the top. It's not really that much different. And this is mode number 3. So we've seen mode number 1, which is vehicle mode, mode number 2, which was the individual robot mode. This is mode number 3. Now, it does have an extra mode. Now, obviously, this then forms the trousers for the bigger combiner, and we're going to get into that now. So that's just one more thing I've got to show you. And it involves transforming back a little bit, because there's some parts forming involved. But you leave this thing on, and then on the back you'll see some little tabs. And basically what you do is you hold that and then pull these off. Right? Hold that, pull that off. Now you don't really want that, so you take that off. And then this thing you just put to one side for a moment, and then you need these shoulder pieces. Now, first of all, you pull that out like that. You then take the arm and fold it up like you would if you was you know, going into mode. And that's that. So they are now effectively feet. So you take this. Underneath here you've got tabbing ports. So you take one of these, line it up, and you tab it in. And then you take these side panels, and you bring this one down, and then there is a the tab and a port there, and then you just pop that in, and then you bring this outer panel down and clip that in also, and then you do it again for the other side. Clip that in, bring that down, clip it in, bring that down, clip it in. So that's that, and there's not really much else you can do without the top half. And the head sort of, you have to, these are obviously the connection ports for the top half of the combiner. And that's it. There he is. There he is. It's Direx in his Super Patron trousers mode. So he forms a pair of trousers, or a pair of pants if you're American. Actually, I think this is pretty good. You know, fairly clean pair of legs. Quite large. I mean, again, let's have a look next to Combiner Wars Megs, and you can see he barely comes up to his waist. Again, it's hurt by the lack of articulation. I mean, this guy has got stupidly short thighs, no thigh rotation. Yes, he's got, you know, really strong ratchets that will take all the weight of the combined mode, but it's just a pity they didn't put biceps, thigh swivels in there that would have made a difference in combining it. Oh well, making it more user friendly as a combiner. The feet are just big chunks. There's no tilt or swivel or rocker on the ankles, which is a shame. But then again, you know, the ratchets, you know, you can get a fairly shallow A stance or a wider A stance, and it will stand up fairly well. I mean, this thing's, you know, it's absolutely solid when you plant it. It's got so much, you know, quite a lot of weight low down, so it's, you know, quite well ballasted at the bottom. But it's a decent pair of leggings. I probably will go for the other half of the combiner, so I can make that. You know, I probably will get it, but not just yet. I mean, I'll probably later in the year I'll pick it up, and then I can. When I get Patron S, I will do a review on that, and then we'll finally see what the final combined mode looks like. But that is this guy. That is the fourth and final mode of Direx. It's all right. Again, it has things that I like about it and other things I don't like about it. I just don't like the direction that Hello Carbots is going with their toys. It's a bit of a shame that they're going down this route of making their things, you know, ridiculous and overly exaggerated, and they just look stupid. I think, compared to the stuff they had in the previous lines. But they're obviously selling the toys, and then they keep making them, so it's obviously a money spinner for them. I just wish they would go back to, you know, revisit, you know, do more the scale model realistic vehicle modes, or at least bring back some of the characters from the older series, because you hardly see any of the older characters in the newer series. You know, in season 1 you had like 7 bots that were the mainstay of the characters, and then as the seasons went on, you know, they introduced new characters, but the older characters just disappeared and you never saw them again. and it's a shame. I noticed in season 5 they are bringing back Ghost Chaser True, but I think the reason behind that is because he's not based on a real licensed vehicle mode. He's actually got a fictitious vehicle mode, so there's no license fee that needs to be paid in order to use his image, and I reckon that's part of the reason why they've done away with the licensed vehicle modes, because they don't want to pay high and die the licensing fee. But yeah, there we go. Pair of legs. So that has been my review on Hello Carbot's Dire-X. It's a double bot combiner that also forms part of a bigger combiner. It's all right. I paid about, what was it, 87 quid for it, shipped from my mate Mr. Soon from Korea. Yeah, I will probably get the other one, but it'll be a while before I take the plunge and go for that. So for now, this has been me, TFR Wilderness, another KTRT review in the bag. I am, well, depending on how you read the list, I've been totting up the number of KTRT bots I've got, and yeah, I've actually, well, depending on how you interpret this list, I've actually got 50 bots already. But actually, if you talk about individual, I mean, if you class this as one unit, which I suppose it is, then obviously I am still a couple of bots short. But I'm almost at 50, toys, and when I get to 50, I'm probably going to do a special one-off, overview of my KTRT collection, which is something I'm planning for the near future. But for now, that's been me. With that, I've been TFR Wilderness, and I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.